Hello and welcome back. I've been wanting to run this model for quite some time. It's been sitting in a box since the summer. I've been on the lookout for a whistle for it because it didn't have a whistle on it when it came to me. It's also missing the little link from here. A number of my models are missing that link. It'd be good to try and find a replacement source of those, but that's a triangle one. I think that's just the whistle that sits in the front of the cab on a number of models. It was from Hornby spares, so it's far too small for the hole. It's just held in place with a bit of black tack. But apart from that, I'm not going to let that spoil my enjoyment of the model. It's definitely been handled. It's been in the wars. If we have a look around here, it's got lots of chipped through paint. You can see the back of the motor there. I think we've got a little bit of a bend in this plate here as well. Definitely lots of paint loss. You see, that's not quite true. Let's come around here, and it's good. The paint has just peeled away. So I had thoughts of maybe I should replace that, sort of mask that off and spray that up, but I think it would be better to take off the paint and start again, otherwise you'll always see that. So I've just left it. Great big thick handrails on it. The nameplate's much nicer on this side. I was never sure whether it should have plastic wheels on the front truck here. The rear ones have got a plastic. I know this is a slightly later model than my Silver King. I think later models of this did definitely have plated wheels, and the tender, which we'll have a look at in a moment, has plastic wheels. And I think that little slot there is for a headboard that Hornby Dublo introduced. At some point you could have some interesting headboards on there. I think it has a different design on the chimney to the Silver King as well. So let's just have a look underneath. So it's very roughly serviced, this one, but it does run very, very nicely. This I keep finding it keeps twisting, so I'm going to have to pay more attention to that. And as far as I can see, I've got as much pressure with the retaining nut on there as I can get, but I keep finding after I've run it, and it keeps sort of doing that. But yeah, it's quite a lovely thing. It's very, very, very heavy. We'll get this back on the rails in a moment, and we'll have a bit of footage of it running. We'll have a look at it with the top off, so we can see the great big Hornby Dublo motor on the inside in action. It's in lovely condition on the inside. I know we got the tender, so not too bad a condition. Plastic top on here. It's had a bit of a bend there. You can see it. If you look into there, it's not quite true. Somebody's had a go at bending that back into position. So apart from that, it's all doing its job. I mean, these things are to be played with, and I'm sure this has spent a great deal of time charging around on the track. I think my Silver King has metal wheels on it. It's still got a metal coupling there. So whereas at some point these would have changed to plastic couplings on here. I think, is it the Golden Fleece? No, I think I've got the model name right there. Was the two-rail variant of this. Then I think that one had plated wheels as well. But these are really, I mean, they're very robust, and they're going to take a lot of playing with. I've got an oily fingerprint on there. I'm gonna stop while I'm ahead and wipe that off. We should quickly have a look over this group of coaches. I had one of them for some time, this one, and the other two just recently showed up as a sort of a lucky purchase. I suppose these two are essentially the same model. I'm unsure of the model number. If I can dig it out, I'll put it at the bottom of the screen there. And I think all of these came along sort of early 60s, sort of before their demise in the mid 60s. They're quite lovely things. Tin plate sides, plastic top. I mean, we've got metal bogies. We've got a plastic base. This one's got an interesting sticker on it. If we just lift these two up together, we see we've got the two different styles of bogies on them here. So I think these ones are what are called the compensating bogies, and these are the sort of slightly more sort of normal looking ones, for want of a better word. So yeah, so apart from that, I think the tin work on the top is pretty much the same. Have a look there, all fairly sort of tidy-ish condition. Not hold that too close to the camera, otherwise we won't get focus. So we'll just put one of them down and have a quick look over them. It's a gorgeous gloss, isn't it, on the side of it, that tin plating. They're not perfect. There's a little bit of bubbling in some of them, but I think there's plenty of playtime left in these. You can see that corridor detail when you look through the windows there. I think one of them has a roof which is yellowed a little bit more than the others, but again, we're not over worried about that. They've definitely got the smile factor once these are up and running. So they do make a different sound than the models which have the metal wheels. These are much, I suppose, smoother running, which is what they should be with the plastic wheels, but a lot more friction. Especially these ones aren't that bad. They're in sort of metal wheel hangers, but the ones with the compensating bogies, the wheels are sort of all encased. The axle ends are all encased, and I believe they create a lot more friction. So which side were we looking at there? So that's the corridor side on that one. Let's have a look there, and then that's the corridor side on that one. There's something just hiding in there. I don't know whether that's dirt or whether that's been scratched away, the tin plate there. I haven't taken the roofs off these to have a look at any more sort of detail. I've got Hornby Dublo, made in England, Meccano Limited on the base of them. That's sort of a plastic underframe detail there. I think that's sort of that's a metal tin plate sheet there that's been formed to make the chassis all around there. So let's have a look at the brake. Again, I've got lovely detailing, slightly different roof on this one. So similar conditions, so they do look good together. I've been on the lookout for a couple of these or more for quite some time. It'd be nice to get, I think, is there a sleeper and a full brake perhaps? And some of these models are harder to get hold of than others, so I haven't really sort of all gone out and think I must have these. I'm just waiting for them to, show up at the right time, and more importantly, at the right price. I've got the top off that. We'll just give it a little power and bring it along where we can see it just a little better. See if we can get in a little tighter. Always difficult to keep up with it when you get in really tight, but I mean, these Hornby Dublo motors are really quite something. Many people use the word over-engineered, but these are designed to last for quite some time. If we have a look in here, we can see probably some sort of non-factory bends going on there in the valve gear, but as it all works, I'm tempted to just leave it alone. But yeah, it has been remagnetised, but listen to that, that's absolutely gorgeous. And we'll just run that backwards gently. There we go. So might as well just have a quick look inside the body shell whilst we're here. So you can see the securing point there, and those ties which hold the handrails, all wonderfully crude, but very effective. Let's just have a look at the end there. So it's definitely had a bit of a knock there around the cab, hasn't it? As we saw a little bit earlier, it's definitely seen better days, but plenty of fun left in this particular model. Here we've got the 1979 catalogue. I think we had this out a little while ago, and I said that we should probably get the Mallard out. Wonderful catalogue. I remember getting this as a child. It's packed full of things. We won't go through everything today in here because I think we've seen through it in the past. Dublo catalogue, 1979. So that 25th edition. So we'll just whip it open to this page here, and we've got that stunning picture of it there, sitting next to some engine sheds of the period. So it really is quite a lovely looking item, isn't it? Nice bright shiny rails there. We've got a number of other amazing looking locomotives on the page, but I think it's really the Mallard which stands out there. We've got the info there, R350, BR class A4, 462 locomotive, and that's 1979, so quite a bit later than Hornby Dublo's model. It's odd they didn't get around to making a locomotive like this earlier in the range. I think it would have been a bit of a seller had they got it out earlier. Maybe because Hornby Dublo had made it and Wren had done it, they sort of left it alone. But I think that's quite a stunning thing. So in its form, like I've got it today, this is the unboxed one I've got. I do have a boxed one, which I think both of them have been on the channel in the past. But I have 3 of these coaches. I have 2 of the composites. So what have we got here? Our 437. I think these came along sort of 77 to 79, and then they went paint finish, different catalogue number, which I can't remember. I'll put it at the bottom of the screen. And then we got the brake there. So I think these are moulded in a single colour with a little bit of paint on to the stripes in red and so on. I think they might be moulded in cream. We'll have a look in a second. But I think later all the colours were all finished off in paint, much more sophisticated type of model. So we'll pop that to one side and we'll have a glance over the models themselves. Now, this being my unboxed one, I have taken the opportunity quite some time ago of hard wiring it, so the tender's hardwired to the locomotive tender drive, and I chose to run this one rather than my box one because it runs so much better on this Series 3 track, because we don't get any sort of intermittency on the join between the two, so we won't handle it over much. We'll just give it a quick look over, and then we will get it on the rails, and we'll whip the tender top off and have a look at it in action, see what we can see on the motor there. So I think we've got that plaque on the side there, and we do have some interesting detail. I'm not quite sure why I didn't colour that in black. That's or use a piece of black cable, but you do these things and then you wonder later why you did them in a certain way. But again, I'm not going to let it ruin my enjoyment of playing with the train over the next few days. So you've got that sort of floating articulated wheel on the back end of the tender there, sort of slightly different way of doing it to Hornby Dublo, who had those 2 sort of bogies sort of hidden within the side frames, and there's that connection between the 2. It can be troublesome, so I think just with the hard wire between the 2, you really nail down the continuity, and it runs so much better. And these are sort of running freely. I haven't spotted any points where it's locking up, although it doesn't like running upside down as much as it does when it's the other way up. Now the little clasps which hold the handrail in, I think one of them on that side has been replaced with the black one. I'm not quite sure why that is. Have we got a focus there? But I think before I drop this, we'll just pop it down. I don't want to split pull the wire out from between the 2. It's easy to put the pin back together there, but I think that's just too much handling for now. So we'll have a quick look over the composite. Again, all quite rattly, but they do run so lovely and smooth. Even on this Series 3, they seem to deal with the track quite nice, and there's a lovely clatter as these Silver Seal wheels run over the track joints and so on. There we go, we've got made in Great Britain and Hornby. There's a pencil mark there, there's that E, possibly from the person who checked it in the factory. A number of these models across the range, you find those sort of pencil marks there. You can see just in the corner there where we've got a rub through on the red paintwork there, and you can see the cream showing through, and I think the same potentially on the roof, but there is some quite nice detail on the inside there, although very difficult to see. There we can see the corridor detail through the windows on that side. So these are unboxed, so let's pick up the brake. Again, different roof, so all sort of play-worn condition, years of running around. Anyway, you can see the sort of slight rub through. If you look on around the door handles there, you can see the cream coloured plastic just beginning to show through there. Or at least I think they're made out of cream. Yeah, I think they're moulded in the cream plastic and then painted up. And we've got the plastic D shape there and the metal hook. So I think we should return to some running and see if we can get this lot to have a bit of a charge around. I've got the tender top off and just have a quick look inside. Not a great deal to be seen in there, and very difficult for the phone to focus in there. So we'll pop that down. So we're looking at the wrong side of the motor really here on this side. I'm just going to grab some power. We'll bring this round and use it as an excuse to operate the turntable. That's getting a bit tighter. We can see all the brush holders, or the brush retaining springs there, so all sort of folded over. And you can see my sort of extra wiring in there. So it's definitely made a bit of a difference for operation on this track. It's not not as even. I mean, it's very old track, which is why it's not as even as it could be, I suppose. So let's change hands with the camera, and we'll make this one curved. And then we'll back that across the diamond crossing, so it's the that floating wheel on the back there, or articulated wheel. It's not really floating, is it? So just roll that backwards onto the turntable. I don't think we're overhanging. Are we overhanging? No, we're not overhanging. Let's have a look there and there. So it's almost the full extent of the turntable. Let's turn that around. You can see the gearing on that side. So just have a swift look in there. Hopefully we'll retain some sort of focus. You can see the traction tyres. So let's go for some power backwards there and roll that off. We'll just have a swift look at that running, then I think we'll get the top back on, and we'll have a little bit more of a charge around, and perhaps get that Flying Scotsman underway as well. I think I've gone too far forward there. Let's see if I can inch that back enough. There we go, I think we've got that. So I'll turn that around and get everything back on the rails. So everything back on the rails, and we're choosing to stay with a mobile telephone to film things today so we can get in a little bit tighter with things. We'll just follow this around a couple of times and see if we can get something interesting. So it's all running surprisingly well. So I've made a couple of adjustments to the railway, so ideally we'll try and get 4 trains running. Looks excellent going into the tunnel there. So with 4 trains running, there's always the distinct possibility that things are going to go horribly wrong. So I have a basic plan in mind, but let's just bring this to a stop in the station. There we go. So I think what we'll do, we'll get this Hornby Dublo diesel locomotive. We'll get this onto the outer line so we can have that charging around behind us. Sorry, not behind us, around the outside. So it'll make a tremendous noise. So we need to change points number 1. I'm just checking around that there's nothing else on the line, so we need to make that one curved. There we go. And if we pan back around, if I remember what I've done, this should be this side of the controller. I'm going to make that one go backwards. There we go. I told you I'd get things wrong, so we'll make that one go backwards. So it's doing exactly what it says on the controller. It was just me choosing to turn the switch in the wrong direction. So that should back straight through there, under the elevator track. And we've got lots of cardboard boxes sitting back there. So I had a couple of things sent to me recently that I've bought, so we might have a look at those in the new year. So let's pop that point back to straight, and we'll run that around. We'll put it under the window, so we'll make that one go. Makes a sort of lovely ringing sound, this model, with I think it's the bodywork clattering with the chassis. So we'll just bring that to a gentle stop there so we can keep track of it. There we go. Now what we want is to get this Flying Scotsman onto the inner Series 3 line. So I'm just going to change it a couple of points to make that happen. So we want to change this one, we want to make this one curved. And then we want the one at the far end of the station to go curved. So I can't quite reach all the way down there, so that one there. And then we need the crossover with the green dots on it. We need to make that one go curved. So let's give that a go. So we come down here, we might be able to see some. Actually, have I got the right switch? Yeah, I've got the right switch here. Let's see if we can see some signals go at the same time. There we go. And then we just need one more. So it's this one with the blue dot outside the Dublo station. So we make that one go curved. So ideally, we'll be able to run Flying Scotsman onto the inner line. So it's a good plan. I just need to switch something on the controller here. So I want that one off. And let's give that some power. So I'm grabbing the controls. So I'll point down here. So it should be running on this one. This one should pull it through. Mallard should stay put. Let's see if we can get back. Turn the switch. There we go. That should run through that crossover. Around the back of the turntable. It's already flying, look. I had intended to slow it down to come through those points, and obviously when I was looking the other way, I've just rotated that switch the wrong way. So I'm going to just tidy up the points. So it was, this one wants to go straight, that one, and then we need to release the Mallard. So it was isolated by the points at either end of the station. So we want that one straight, and then the one at the other end straight. So ideally now we can get the Mallard running. So we'll set off the Mallard, the Hornby Railways Mallard. We'll see if we can get that one to even out. And then we'll get the Flying Scotsman to go. Although I just now realise there's one point I haven't checked, so we're in danger of a derailment around here. No, that one's looking good. Flying Scotsman beginning to pick up quite a bit of pace by itself. All looking good. So what we'd really like now is the Dublo Mallard, isn't it? So let's grab some control for that. Off it goes. So my fear here is I'm going to keep my eyes in the wrong place and not notice a coach coming adrift, perhaps. And let's see if we can get the diesel locomotive underway. So let's give that some power. Ooh, I've just grabbed the controls for the wrong thing. That's better. So the Dublo Mallard is the one I just inadvertently added loads of power to in the background. I don't know whether you heard it. Let's see if we can follow that one round. Let's keep an eye out for stray rolling stock. Something just having a bit of a jolt in the corner. I think that diesel locomotive was hitting a bit of track it didn't like. It's also slowed down a little bit, so I think we'll just give that some more power. quite impressive running like that. Diesel locomotive is now taking the lead. Let's come down here. Yeah, it was there, the diesel locomotive had a bit of a jolt. Here's the Flying Scotsman. Let's see if we can get behind and see the glowing firebox, all looking fairly good. I think as everything warms up, it gathers pace. So let's see what's coming over my right hand shoulder here. I think the Flying Scotsman is going to be the first one round. Hornby Railway's Mallard coming from the left. Diesel electric locomotive tearing down the outside here. Powerful, powerful model. Pair of traction tyres on that. Hornby Railway's Mallard. I've lost track of the Dublo Mallard now. Here it comes over my right shoulder. Let's see if we can have one last follow of that, and I think that's probably it for this time. Everything seems to have kept the coaches. It's not the trying ones I'm really over worried about, it's the Dublo, when you tend to take your eye off things. Excellent. So let's see if we can just catch up with the Hornby Railway's Mallard. And I think that's probably it for this time. Thank you again for looking in. If you look back again next time, we'll have something else to look at. Goodbye now.